Hello everyone. NIO plans expansion into Spain, Italy, and France, despite EU tariffs increasing the costs for Chinese-made electric vehicles. So friends, here's the news. NIO is likely to expand its business into Spain, Italy, and France, not just with the NIO brand, but also with ONVO and Firefly brands. So, 3 brands in 3 countries. What's going on? And yes, everyone has seen the EU tariffs. The EU is becoming increasingly hostile toward Chinese-made electric vehicles. Selling Chinese-made electric vehicles is becoming more expensive and difficult. Still, NIO is expanding into these countries. It's hard to understand, at least somewhat. So, why are they doing this? Their cars are sold not just in China, but also in Germany, Sweden, the Netherlands, Norway, etc. This is an important marketing tool for them and a way to address people's doubts when they consider buying a Chinese brand like NIO. Some people prefer foreign brands, even though NIO is an international brand. People like Tesla because it's a foreign brand. People like BMW, Mercedes because they are foreign brands. So, in this aspect, sales reps use this as a sales method. But think about it. With a 10% value-added tax and then a 21% tariff, the cars become even more expensive. And cars are already quite expensive there. Sure, they're not very affordable in Europe, and they don't sell many cars in Germany. Last month, they might have sold only 44 cars. Not a lot. And people should think, is this just wasting money? Is this just wasting money? Why wouldn't you want to expand there? Right now, XPeng, which will also be affected by these tariffs, is thinking about building a factory in Europe to avoid these tariffs. They are creating jobs in Europe to avoid these tariffs. This makes sense for XPeng, as they are selling significantly more cars in Europe compared to NIO. Interesting, very interesting. But it doesn't really make sense for NIO to build a factory there when they are not selling that many cars in Europe. It makes sense if they were in more markets, which I think they are trying to do, right? Expanding into other parts of Europe, and then also setting up swap stations there. Setting up NIO houses there too, and covering the entire European continent with sales stores, NIO houses, swap stations, etc. And also service centers. And this will be a more complete ecosystem. And I think it makes sense that if there are swap stations in every country, traveling within Europe would be very convenient, and having more swap stations will indeed make using NIO easier because right now in Europe, you can't do any kind of battery upgrade or downgrade, the flexibility you get in China. The reason is the lack of infrastructure, at least you can say that. So obviously, building more infrastructure, more swap stations. And if they have those favorable policies like in Denmark with negative electricity prices, which incentivize you to store electricity at a swap station that earns 200,000 euros a year just from grid stabilization, then it makes sense for NIO to set up a lot of swap stations in Europe. In other countries, if they have the same kind of rules and are making a lot of money just from grid stabilization, then customers will definitely come. When they see that you have swap stations all over the country, all over Europe, then why wouldn't they buy NIO, right? Some analysts are saying that Chinese EV firms should pull out of Europe because selling cars there is unfavorable, so you really can't expect much profit. But then you also have to add the expansion cost, building more NIO houses and everything, which almost certainly guarantees dilution in the future. Building expensive infrastructure for cars that might not sell well because tariffs make them unaffordable. Now, NIO CEO has said that Firefly will sell well despite tariffs and will remain highly competitive despite the tariffs. But of course, this will impact margins, and we will have to see. NIO will have to raise prices in Europe further down the road due to these tariffs. And from my perspective, it just doesn't make sense, right? It's like that toxic relationship you keep going back to. And investing more in that toxic relationship is just not worth it. And what you see with many other automakers, for example, My Auto, is that they are focusing solely on the Chinese market, which I think NIO should also do, focus only on the Chinese market. I am not satisfied with Li Auto products. I think their products are subpar in terms of safety, etc. But their management, they don't spend wastefully. And their efficiency, their management, I have to say. These are things you have to respect. Right? Not the product, but the management. NIO really should expand more in China. You know, they sold 44 cars in Germany last month. And in a small 4th or 5th tier city, they can deliver about the same number, right? If there's infrastructure, if there are new homes, then instead of building expensive NIO houses in countries where cars are very expensive and people can't afford them, where people understand that they are very expensive, why not invest that money and build NIO houses in small towns where you know the return on investment will be very good? This is something that is causing me a bit of concern. NIO has not yet achieved full success in China either. They have had success in Shanghai, Beijing, big cities like Shenzhen, etc. But in small cities, 3rd and 4th tier cities, they are not selling more than BIBO 100%. Okay, and they are not selling more than these EV hybrids 100%. So why not focus on the domestic market first, where you know you can see success, instead of moving forward, overspending in other countries, and possibly running out of money? Okay, it would be a very bad scenario if you are expanding into those countries. And we know that the UAE is also coming. Brazil is also coming. Death is those who are spreading in many different countries. The biggest auto market is still China, isn't it? China and the United States. The United States is a bit difficult, with 100% tariffs. But I think you should focus on China first, see absolute success there, then work in other regions, especially those where tariffs are hindering your success. In my opinion, they should just leave that plan, stop expansion in Europe, focus on where things are already working and see how things are. And then attention should be paid to efforts domestically in China, where you will succeed in selling cars. But this is just my opinion. Absolutely, I have no influence on NIO decisions, whether they do it or not. This is just my opinion. Finally, it seems they are moving forward with expansion plans. Hopefully, they can avoid inflation and shareholders won't suffer more losses. But it seems that dilution is guaranteed in the future. NIO plans to expand into Spain, Italy, and France with its NIO, ONVO, and Firefly brands despite EU tariffs on Chinese EVs. While aiming to build infrastructure and market presence, this move faces high costs and limited sales in Europe, prompting concerns that focusing on the Chinese market might be more effective. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more stock predictions and market insights. Remember to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Happy investing, and see you in the next video.